Now fold it. Let it out. Hello, everyone. My name is Mary from More is Light. I wanted to give you guys a little bit of information when it comes to chanting, music, and frequencies. Sometimes we wake up in the morning and we have this one song that we could swear we heard all night long. Did we? Well, that could certainly be it. But does it carry a frequency that maybe you needed at that point? Maybe the song holds a note or a group of notes that turn into frequencies. And those frequencies have something to do with your overall healing. Or maybe you made that song in your mind so that it could aid in your healing strategy as you sleep. Because that's what we do. We heal ourselves when we sleep. We rejuvenate when we slumber. So sometimes we remember a song and sometimes we don't. It's okay. There are frequencies while we're sleeping that do course through us, that we do create in our own body. Being that the case, we also understand that there are other frequencies around us that participate in a beautiful set of arpeggios and corresponding notes, frequency, and key. If you know a little bit about music, you'll probably understand what I'm talking about. If you don't, then let's take this into an energy course. It's going to be a very short course because I'm going to get to the bottom of everything so that you can understand, right? One of the basic things that we don't readily learn about is chanting and the power of Om. We don't really know or get taught in school in depth about Buddhist chanting, Australian Aboriginal chanting and song lines. There's chanting in Africa, in the Native American culture. My goodness. And what do all these things do? Well, they unlock that incredible, miraculous potential of our minds, And when you understand that whatever is spiritual is scientific, then you start appreciating what the meat suit is all about and how it plays in making frequencies, because we do create frequencies in music and chanting and humming. And we do that with words that we just come up with all of a sudden, and you're singing this little tune. It may not mean much to you, but to the energies around you, it does. Mantras and chants, they're usually repetitive or repetitive. It's either one word or a bunch of words put together in a way that it's easy for you to remember. So what happens? As far back as we can go based on the technology that we have nowadays, and also based on word or mouth to mouth understanding, right? We understand that every major organized faith, including cultures that don't have a religious body, they either chant or sing mantras. How wonderful is that? And what does that tell you? In some faiths, people call them prayers, people call them incantations. There are many, many ways of putting together how you chant and how you tone, because toning is also something that's really important. It's going to be in a different video, but it's still important for you to understand. Today we're going to talk about chanting because it's so important. Chanting, it is understood that when you chant, especially through a healing session or through a meditating session, it actually, the frequencies intertwine with the frequencies that you are creating during your meditation, during your healing. And then what happens is the energy of the power actually increases exponentially. This is the part. Remember, I've always told you guys, we are not the healers. What we are is a hollow bone. We stand in between earth and the heavens. So since we are in the middle, we bring in energy and it passes down and out to those that need it. But at the same time, it takes care of us. Now, that is what we do. We do not heal. We pass and channel that healing energy that either comes from there or Pachamama, our beautiful earth. We stand in the middle to receive and pass through that energy. Our gift is we heal as well. But now you add the power of chanting. That is the part that we add. So imagine a flute. Imagine a flute, perfectly hollow, but a flute nonetheless. So as energy is coming in from one end and it goes out the other, what we do with the frequencies and adding chanting to, that is our understanding of how we can add, be the ones now that are part of the healing. When we don't chant and we don't sing mantras, and I call them singing because basically that's what it is. And as a vocal coach, that is what it is. But when we add those frequencies, now we are showing and giving that part that does not deplete us from our energy. When I hear and I see energy therapists that come out of an energy session and they're depleted, they're tired, they're like, oh my God, I need to rest, I need to do this, why? That means they use their own energy during the healing. Well, if you do that, then not all that healing is going through your hollow bone. You are standing somewhere in between, and that is not how we do it. We have to allow all that energy to come through. without us in it, or it would be considered an egotistical step, wouldn't it? What do? We add chants and mantras because that is coming from our own outer energy. We are bringing in that chanting from inside, but it's vibrating out through our bodies and into our auras and enveloping us in our own luminous energy field. And who feels that? The person or the persons that you are channeling that healing to. And now that energy intertwines as frequencies, right? And as they intertwine as frequencies, they are adding without you, healer, getting depleted of any energy. If you wanted to be part anchor, part of you in a healing, then that's a beautiful way of putting it together and being part of it. So is it prayers? You can sing prayers. Is it incantations? Yes, you can. Is it chanting? Yes, you can. In Karuna, Reiki, we definitely chant, but I chant with the original Usui Reiki method, 1, 2, and 3. And you can chant anything because it is still frequency. And within that frequency, you're going to have your intention of love, of passionate energy. But it's going to take that energy and twine into that frequency. It's going to multiply and expand and grow into an infinite point of access to receive even more energy so that that energy can go into your healing. Right? Some people even understand, and you'll get to a point where you understand that love, joy, and miracle hertzes and megahertzes and frequency, they're all a communication pathway to a much higher being. And I do dare say directly to the Creator. Because we send out and we receive that beautiful information, don't we? All that frequency comes back to us. So in Hinduism, there is that beautiful power of Om or Aum, right? In Sanskrit, it is actually a sound tool. It's very basic. Everybody starts with Om or Aum, right? It is, the Sanskrit letters are double A, AU, and MA, okay? But why does it have that reverence to a lot of people? Well, the Hindus understand that Om is the first sound that was created when the universe was created. Now think about that. Om. If you think about that and you make that sound correctly with your mouth, it sounds like a sound wave. It is a sound wave, but to you it sounds like, oh my God, there's a motor, there's something in there. That's exactly what it was. And that's exactly why it came to remind us when we make that sound, where it came from, right? It is a sound that still reverberates through the entire universe. And everybody uses it, right? There are benefits for chanting Om. Many, many, many publications that have come out, right? It stabilizes your brain. It's been known to stabilize your brain waves. It gives you a calming effect, especially for people that are very stressed out with a lot of anxiety. And there was a team of researchers in India that Om is actually a spiritual mantra. How wonderful is that? So what does it do? It brings in peace and calm, right? India's National Institute of Mental Health and Neurosciences, they have been studying the powerful effects of yoga and meditation. And they have concluded that Om mantras are very beneficial for mental health. Hello. They actually saw this in the brain's limbic region. That's the part of the mind that controls your primal emotions and instinctive responses. And those were deactivated when the subjects that they used chanted Om. How powerful is that? Om is also part of the chants that Buddhists and Jains use, right? Now it lends itself because they do use it in their religion. They also understand it philosophically. Even though Buddhists do have their own set of chants, and it can change from whatever sect it is that they live, whether they're in Eastern Asia or Indo-Tibetan or whatever. It doesn't matter because it's still part of their culture, part of their chanting system. So the Om Mani Padme Hum. Om is the first that appears in that main chant. In a paper that they published, and I want to say 2013, but I'm not sure. I should check that. They noted that the effects of chanting the Om, they were able to measure that sound traveled much faster in water than in air. Well, our bodies are 60 to 70% water. Playing Om to organisms that don't have hearing, like we do in animals. They took animals like snails, and they played that chant, and it immediately showed signs of cognition. What does that tell you? Well, Om Mani Padme Hum is made up of frequencies. And these are frequencies that have been tried and true to generate powerful vibrations when we chant them. Well, these vibrations, while we're chanting, are thought to be creating a resonance effect. Well, it does. And then what happens after that, there is a constructive interference pattern between the frequencies of each of the syllables that brings about therapeutic and a healing effect on the body and its function. So why not chant Om Mani Padme Hum when you are sending or channeling healing? The Australian Aborigines, right? And you can find this, you can find a lot of their songs in the Journal of the International Folk Music Council. Their native songs are a composite type of art, right? And it combines really difficult rhythms right? And the singers that add to those rhythms, um, they bring in their own rhythms, and it feels like it's a boomerang coming. Take it out, and it brings back. Now they use these in ceremonies, and this is where the men folk gather around a fire and they chant these very ancient songs, and then other people will act them out, right? And it's a beautiful thing because it's still chanting today. Today, in the African culture, chanting begins to be taught to children, and through chanting, they learn about their heritage. They 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 learn that this is so important because they also as a child they learn praising songs. How wonderful is that? Native American music, when it comes to the history and education, these beautiful and inviting chants are known to come from deities and spirits directly. So there is no doubt about it. They perform studies and they've seen that these stories, there's a story within the chanting, legends that would bring your hairs up in that chanting. And it all comes into that cultural and historical part of their lives where it has just become such an iconic part of their tradition. And it's passed from one family to member to the other, right? Chanting in all these traditions, they hold special meaning and they're believed to possess spiritual powers. If you don't believe that, try it. They hold energy and possibility and infinite probability for healing, success with hunting, memorials, social gatherings, any ceremony and rituals. What happens when we are part of this wonderful new world that I am talking to you about today? Well, let's look back under Christian practices. Oh, I know what you're going to say. Why did you have to bring the Christian practice? Well, because there's Gregorian chanting, right? Gregorian chanting. When you hear it, you understand that there is much sadness, right? But there's a lot more, right? There's a lot more that comes to that. But if you understand that that energy is to bring in those frequencies, and they are smart, and your energies are smart, and you're giving that energy, those frequencies, the actual access to work through your body as that hollow bone out through your meat suit, out into your aura, out into your luminous energy field. and you're able to use that and open your mind, you will understand what Benedict, sister, look, I think I have her here, Ruth Stanley. She was head of the complementary medicine program at the Central Minnesota Heart Center at St. Cloud Hospital. And she worked with easing chronic pain and other things that that she realized, and she brought in that chanting ability. So she said the body can move into a deeper level of its own inherent innate healing ability. This is exactly what we're talking about, right? Because about 85% of the time, the body goes into a very deep healing mode when it comes with chanting, with frequency. James Hartzell, he was a neuroscientist. He said he invented the Sanskrit effect, and he did all these brain scans on these Sanskrit scholars, and then he brought them into with chanting. So he did these brain scans. I believe it was with them chanting, and what he saw was that when they were chanting in Sanskrit, because it involves a lot of memorization in these people's art, right? He discovered that this actually helped to increase the size of the certain brain regions that were associated with cognitive function. And that included short and long-term memory. This is going to hit some of you. Wouldn't that be incredible? So India's Vedic Sanskrit, right? There are people that just train for years and years and years and years to memorize this stuff. These are over 3,000-year-old texts, and they range anywhere from 40,000 to 100,000 words. There's a lot to learn about our beautiful brain. But what it is true is that all these different chants from all these different cultures, pick one, pick some. Doesn't matter because their tones are different. It doesn't matter that the solfeggio is different. It doesn't matter the cadences or cadences, whatever it is you want to call it. They all do the same thing. They get your mind to work, and they actually tune the body in some fashion. Or when you add energy, frequencies, healing frequencies that has their own frequencies, and you add the frequency of chanting in its proper place for the proper healing or attunement, then you by far are creating an enormous window of opportunity for everyone and everyone's mind, including yours and that of the collective that you are part of. Begin to work independently, but together at the same time. So, do we want to chant? Yes, we do. It's up to you. Have a beautiful day. My name is Mary Nunez. I am shaman for Moira's Life and MH Cares LLC. You can also watch me and my friends Glenda and Mariana in the on a Roku channel. or Glenda's magical solution in the Conscious Awakening Network. I hope to see you soon, and I hope to hear you chanting. Have a beautiful day.
MH Cares is a complete emotional and spiritual care provider. We have the tools you need for your emotional and spiritual well-being, bringing together conventional and New Age psychotherapy modalities. Call us today and find out for yourself. If you're looking for a sign, this could be it. MH Cares. We show you how to master your harmony.